Welcome to our third card and our last card in our Christmas card series. Now this one is a really fun one. I think you're going to have a great time painting this one. It looks a little complicated, but don't worry, I'm going to walk you through it. It's not that complicated, okay? You are going to love this one. And of course, it's a Christmas tree. I mean, it's our last one, so we have to do a Christmas tree. Okay, so I've taped my paper down to my desk because I don't want it to warp, or at least I want to minimize the warping. And this is a 5x7 piece of paper. I am using my number 2 Degato squirrel hair mop brush. So this we're really doing in layers. So the first layer, clean water, and I'm not worried about my border. In fact, I'm going to do very loose edges. I know you can't see that. And if you need to, turn your paper sideways so that you can see it. But we're just doing some kind of rounded, almost cloud-like edges. Fill the whole thing in with water, and you'll be able to see it better in just a moment. So just make sure you've got good coverage there with water. And we're going to do this at least 3 times, maybe more. Let's just see how intense the color is. First, let's use a little cerulean, and we want this to be transparent. So dab it off if you need to, and let's just keep it fairly light. And I'm not taking my pigment all the way to the edge of my water because I want soft edges, and it's not the end of the world if we have some hard edges. It's really okay. And I'm really not trying to cover every inch of this because, like I said, we're coming back with multiple layers and multiple colors. Notice I'm not brushing the pigment onto the paper. I'm just dabbing it around where I have put water and letting it move on its own. Dabbing it around like this will give the background more depth and interest almost effortlessly, especially when we do it in multiple layers. And it's perfectly fine to leave some white space. It's not a big deal. In fact, you kind of want that. Like I was saying, you don't want to completely cover it. You know, and you can either do the whole thing or you can not do where you know the tree is going to go. It doesn't matter. You just want to make sure to have enough so that the background shows through the limbs, but in the middle of the tree, it doesn't matter. Either way you want to do it is fine. That's probably good enough for our first layer. So now we have to let this completely dry before we do anything else. Okay, that's completely dry. So now I am going to mix a little bit of violet in with my cerulean, just to deepen that color just a bit for our next layer. And we're going to do this again, so I don't want to overdo it this time. Let's move this, maybe you can see the palette. Okay, there we go. So I don't want too much violet just yet. Let's put more cerulean. And we need to keep this very light because we're doing multiple layers. So just keep adding until you get, that's probably good. Okay, so now we need clean water again. Okay, with this next layer, we don't want to completely cover up that layer. So you want to be sure to leave some of that layer dry. And it's really helpful if you have your paper on a board or, you know, something other than putting it down on your desk, because now I can't pick this up to see where I'm painting with this clean water. So if you can use a block, and I ran out of my block, so that's why I'm not using my block right now. I could have taped it down to a board, and at this point I'm kind of wishing that I had, because I have several boards I could have taped it to rather than my desk, but oh well, we'll be okay. I'm just having to kind of lean out to the side to see where my water is. And again, I'm not taking the pigment all the way to the edge of the water because I want it to bleed out. I want a fuzzy edge. And that's just personal preference. There's nothing wrong with having hard edges on these different layers, so do whatever, you know, you like. The one thing I would say, I really like it when you can see all these layers independently as well as together. So I will try and have little areas here that go over the margin into some white space so that we just see whatever layer we're currently working on. And then I will have areas where, like up top, on this one, where I have not taken this layer all the way up to the top so that we can see that first layer. And I hope that makes sense. That's kind of hard to explain. So I just like to see all three layers in different areas, you know, independently as well as together. And I'm probably going to end up with some hard lines and some soft lines. You just play with it until you get it the way you like it. And you can always take a cloth like I'm doing and just dab it up if you don't like the way that it's turning out. Just dab it up. As long as it's wet, you can do that and then try again. I may add a little more water up at the top here. Just a little clean water. I'd like to see a little bit of that layer up here. I like that spilling over. So see if we can make that a little darker. I don't like that. So let's pick up that little. Oh, okay. It's okay. It's all right. We can fix that. I don't want that really dark spot if I can get rid of it. Okay, I have too much violet in my brush. But you know what? We can cover that up with the tree. So let's do that. That'll be our plan. So now let's let that dry. Okay, now for our third layer, I want more violet than blue. So let's just mix this up. Still have some blue in it, but mostly violet. Okay. Let's clean our brush. And now we want clean water again. Third layer of clean water. And again, just put it anywhere. So here's some of that cerulean that didn't get mixed up, and that's okay. Just dabbing this around. I think it's coming from the higher up on my brush, but that's all right. Can add a little water. Let's get this mixing in really well. Okay, I really like that. And I like that hard line actually. Now, I think that looks nice. All right, let's let that dry. Okay, now this is dry and I think that looks terrific. I don't want to add any more layers. Now for the tree. So I want a little bit of a fuzzy green to our tree. So I'm going to take just clean water and I think I had a little green in my brush, so let me do a better job of cleaning that. Okay, now I am going to just add clean water all out here. Just a little bit, doesn't have to be a lot. I want a little bit of bleed on this, not a bunch. So now I'm going to put some green, and I've got olive green and sap green in here, and I'm going to dab it off. My paper is starting to buckle. Just going to draw a center line just to start getting some bleed there. So I don't want everything to bleed. I just want a little bit of bleeding. So I'm just going to pick a few branches. To get that to bleed out a little bit into that water. And we are going to paint over this. So it really doesn't matter. I'm just trying to get some green bleed out here. And this is going to cause a hard line where my water, my clean water was. So I'm going to dab that up out there in the margins. Anywhere I see that it might be making a water line. All right, I'm gonna let that dry just a minute. It doesn't have to completely dry. Just a moment to soak in, and I might pick up, because I want the top of my tree a little more defined. So another second or two. Let's mix up a little bit of green gold and sap, because that's going to be the main color for our tree. Just testing it. A few more minutes. Okay, I'm looking across my paper here, and so that's still damp, so that's probably good enough. So I'm going to just test it right here. Yep, that's good. Okay, see that's bleeding quite a bit. So I'm just going to hold up a few more seconds on that. Now let's try again. And now we're just going to sketch in our tree. And I want to be able to see the background through those limbs. So I'm being careful not to cover up you know, not to make a solid triangle here. And you don't want to forget about the limbs that are coming out this way toward us. Don't have all your limbs going left and right. Have some coming through here, through the middle. And we're going to add more to this, so I'm just basically trying to get the shape of my tree. I'm going to add some other colors because we're on a little bit of a time schedule here with, we want the paper damp, not too wet, not too dry at this stage anyway. As always, at the bottom of the tree, we need to decide how far are we going to take this tree? Do we want a trunk showing here or not? I don't know. I always change my mind. And anytime you go into your paint again, it's a good idea to dab your brush off. So I'm just going now for some green gold because I want to add a little bit of another color in here. Just touching it. That green gold usually dries kind of yellowy, which is a nice contrast to our sap. And this tree is kind of skinny, so we can make this tree larger. I want a little bit more full tree, but again, let's try not to cover up a whole lot of this space. And we're going to add snow, so that's going to help us out a lot too. And it will also hide, you know, if you mess up somewhere, snow is a great way to cover up your little mistake. How about let's grab some undersea green, and I'm going to put a little bit of sap in with it, just to tone it down a little bit. Undersea green can be pretty powerful. All right, be sure to dab it off. And let's start working on some shadows. We're just scribbling. We're not covering up our other colors because we want all the colors to show through. This is just really some shadowing. It's getting pretty dark, which again, that's okay because we're going to add snow. But I think I will use my paper towel to just dab up a little bit. Now let's go back with that undersea green again. As it's drying, you can kind of see where you need a little more darkness. That looks pretty good. Need a little dark, a little light. Even though we're going to be adding snow, you still need some lights and darks in here. And I wanted to cover that up, remember? Okay, we're almost finished. Okay, we need this to dry and then we will do our snow and then we're finished. And the snow is going to really change the character of this. It is going to make it really pop. I'm going to switch over to my 0 Winsor & Newton sable brush. Just have a little more control. And we're just going to fill in the snow. Don't want to completely cover up your tree because you want to be able to see the green. But snow would pile up on top of those branches. So we'll just fill that out. And try not to go like in straight lines like that, as I'm noticing this is kind of looking like I'm following a line. You want it to be very random. There's a branch that would have a little hanging off it. Okay, and we're going to add a bunch of snowfall. So for that, we're going to need our mop brush. I like to add lots and lots of snow. All right, here we are, the finished card. So look at this lovely background. I love how these layers all come together and give the background dimension. And we have lots of different colors in here. I really would have rathered this be a little bit larger, but that's okay. The background, the green background did not come through very well. It dried very lightly. And to be honest, I just didn't make it large enough. So for the most part, I really love this card. There's nothing wrong with this card. It's beautiful colors. The tree looks nice. But I want to show you, in case you had different results, every time you do this, it's going to give you a little bit different result, okay? So I'm going to show you my first attempt at this. The first thing is the colors here are not nearly as vivid as here. And that all had to do with my mixture ratio. So I have a little more violet in these mixtures than I had here. See how dull these colors ended up being? It's still, when you look at it by itself, it's still a perfectly fine card, but I do prefer the brighter colors. And maybe my water was a little dirty here too. I don't know. I don't really remember if I had fresh water here or not. The other big thing that really stands out, look how much I allowed that green to bleed. I mean, that's a lot. Personally, I'm not a big fan of that. I really was aiming for less than this, but more than this. So the next time I do it, I will try to get a little more of this background green bleeding and not all over. See, this is all over. That's too much. It should just be in spots. you know, here and there, and I think it would have been perfect. And then this one is larger, but this paper was on a block pad, so I did not have to tape it. And that's probably why this one ended up larger. When I taped it, that kind of constricted my visual piece. So I just naturally did it smaller without really thinking about the fact that there was still paper underneath that tape. And I could have gone closer to the tape. So, you know, that's not here nor there. It doesn't matter. So I'm just sharing this with you so that if your results were not exactly like this, it's okay. And I just want to reiterate that. I just want to give you confidence that it's okay if yours did not turn out just like this. And every time you do it, you are going to get different results. Well, I hope you had a great time painting that one. I loved this one. And I hope you learned a few new techniques that you can use in your other artwork as well. Now, I'm going to take the whole month of December off. No social media. I am just going to bake Christmas cookies and all those Christmas recipes that my mother and my grandmother used to make. And I'm going to spend time with my family and just enjoy the season. I want to say thank you so much for being here this year. We've had a great year. I've really loved making videos for you and getting to know you a little better through your comments and various discussions that we've had. And I just appreciate you being here so much. And I hope you're finding a lot of good information that's helping you with your watercolor journey. Have a very Merry Christmas and a safe and happy New Year. And I will see you in January.